Welcome to the In-Between-Man podcast, where men can be men. It's been like 2 weeks since I've uploaded anything, and I was thinking, why is that today? And I just felt like, instead of coming out with some content that I know no one's going to listen to or even consider, I figured I'd just get on here and just kind of be like real. You know what I mean? Like, why not? Why not? You know what I mean? Why not I just be transparent? And I'm gonna. So here we go. It was on September 9th, about 4 days after my FMLA ran out, that my company called and terminated me. And to be honest with you, I wasn't surprised at all. And to be also honest with you too, I hate what I was doing. Hate it. I can't pretend that I like doing it anymore. I can't do it. That's the only way I could say it. I mean, while I was doing it, I was miserable. And from when I first started doing it to today, it's gotten 20 times worse. And I just don't have the capacity anymore at my age to be like, I'm going to grind through it and be okay with it, because I'm not. I was miserable. I didn't do my laundry. I wore the same clothes every day. I work from home. I can't pretend that I'm happy about what I'm doing, And so it was kind of like a little bit of a, blessing in disguise. But at the same token too, I'm broke. I got no money. And I'm not saying any of this for you to feel sorry for me, because I don't want you to. I'm just saying this as the reality of my situation, and it just is what it is. And the reality of my situation is that I'm broke. I am getting short-term disability now that just pays enough for my bankruptcy and my child support and the bills and the rent and my house. And I don't have any retirement. I don't have a 401k, and that's not anybody's fault other than my own. And, I'm starting over. And this podcast has been something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I've been wanting to do my part in sharing what I know, right? I'm not an expert. I don't claim to be an expert. But I also know, too, that there's a lot of other experts that are out there that certainly aren't in the situation that I'm in, which is, being broken and at 54 with no retirement and no savings. And, what am I going to do? Because it would be easy, really easy for me to hide under my bed and just kind of suck my thumb and let the day roll into me. But I'm not doing that. And part of what I've learned in these last 3 months is that I need to keep doing what it is that I'm doing here with you, which is, making a video about just being honest about where I'm at. I have not had the urge to drink, and I still don't. I don't have the urge to be in a relationship, because I know that I'm still not capable of being in one. I have a higher power that I know loves me and wants only the best things for me, and that I need to try to rightly relate myself to whatever his will for me. But I struggle with that on a daily basis. I'm not going to tell you that I'm rendered white as snow or I've gotten this figured out, because I don't. But what I do have, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, is something that's really simple, and I've learned over the course of the last, 30 years, that I really like simple things. And if I could define what my life is like, my life is like 1 + 1 = 2. Does that make any sense? 1 + 1 = 2. It's just simple. It's 1 + 1, not times, not subtracted, not divided by. 1 = 2. There it is. And because I have that equation, and because I know that it's so simple, I have a lot of comfort in knowing that life can be that simple. 1 + 1 = 2. And it's just not, right? Life is much more complicated than that. But I'm trying to still get up every day and just acknowledge that 1 + 1 = 2. And I've, over time, figured out a process that includes, no, I shouldn't say over time, I've learned about a process that helps me get through the day, which is simple, and it requires that, I communicate with people that I know trust and love me unconditionally. It requires that, I ask for help when I don't know, and that, I am accountable for doing the right thing for me, but not at other people's expense. And I know that my life can be that simple, and I really like that. Really do. I'm also a huge fan of Richard Rohr. Do you guys know who Richard Rohr is? I just love him. It looks like he was interviewed by Oprah Winfrey like maybe 6 or 7 months ago. And I don't care if you like Oprah or you do like Oprah. The only reason why I'm bringing that up is because he had said something on this conversation with Oprah that really stuck with me. Let me see if I can find it. Oprah asked him a really good question, which is, how do you know you've lived a fulfilled life? And this is what he said. So a well-lived life is a life of someone who can generate the kind of love that inspires other people to be more loving. That just like fucking slapped me in the face. I don't mean to swear, but I'm going to say it again because I really like how simple it is. So a well-lived life is a life of someone who can generate the kind of love that inspires other people to be more loving. I love that. I love everything about that. And I just haven't been on my game this last week. I was on a podcast with Carrie Hamilton, which was awesome. And I've been spending more time with her, and we're thinking about doing a collaboration as well. And she's just out of her mind. I love her. One of the things I've been reminiscing about is now that I'm coming out of be coming up on 4 years of my divorce from my wife. And let me tell you, I want nothing more than to get on here and to eviscerate her for every reason why I'm totally justified in eviscerating her. And I'm not going to do that, because if I do, my kids will see it. And I don't want my kids to know how I really feel about my ex-wife, because that's still their mother. So I have to default to not doing anything. And I don't like that feeling at all. It makes me furious. I really want to rage out because I know I would feel better. But in the process of feeling better, I know I would upset a lot of people, especially my kids, talking smack about their mom. It's just not productive. And ultimately, the relief that I would feel would be my kids' burdens, right? Because they're going to see it sometime or whatever. And I'm just not going to do that. But one of the things that happened in my marriage that I really regret is that at the time I got isolated and removed myself from a dynamic that I have with my stepfather. And, it was like I kind of picked a side. You know what I mean? And I picked a side because I thought it was the right thing to do. My wife wasn't happy with something that he said and what he did, and I believed her, and, I didn't talk to my stepfather for, 10 years. 15 years. He was angry, or he was upset, And in any event, what I'm getting at is that my stepfather has started to deteriorate over the last decade. And when I saw him a year ago at my sister's wedding, he was slow. He slowed down a little bit. And come to find out that he has been getting up out of bed and, falling down and hurting himself. And he hurt himself one night living on his own, that he bumped his head and he had to go to the hospital, and they took tests, and apparently there's 4 tests that, and I don't know if this to be true, but apparently there's 4 tests that you can take that will determine whether or not you have Parkinson's disease. And so, according to my sister and according to my stepfather, the doctors did all 4 of these tests, and 2 came back positive and 2 came back negative. And so last week I reached out to my stepfather. We're Giants fans. I hadn't talked to him, in about maybe 6 months. And I reached out to him and I asked him, what was going on, because my sister had told me that he's not capable of taking care of himself. Like if he was by himself, he would forget to drink water, and get dehydrated. And his girlfriend now, who's the same age as he is, 81, is having a hard time. She can't, if he falls down, she can't pick him up. You know what I mean? So because he can't be alone, they had his girlfriend had scheduled a trip a couple months back to go to Denmark. And because he can't be alone, he has to go to Denmark, So when I called and spoke with him on the phone and asked him, did he want to go to Denmark? He said, no, I don't. He's not, it's not that he's not capable of having a conversation with me. He can. And, like mentally, he's still sharp there. And it's just now he's at a point where his current girlfriend is too old to take care of him in the way that he probably needs. And both of my sisters, including myself, we're no longer near the area where he lives, right? So we just can't come over. And, and plus my sister has 2 kids. My other sister, my youngest sister, who just got married last year, she's living out in San Francisco, and I'm here in North Carolina. And, I'm struggling with knowing that my dad might have to make the decision to go into assisted living, which he's learning more about and is capable to understand. But I'm worried that he's going to hate it, And I can't sleep on my pillow at night knowing that my stepfather is in a facility where he's miserable. It's just like I really wish I had the answers, man. I do. I wish I had the answers. I wish I had, I don't have the answers. I really don't. And why I'm pointing this out is I don't like not having the answers. I don't like the fact that I'm not financially secure. It's scary to me. And it should be. And there's no one else to blame but me for that dynamic. And I can't do my job anymore. And I really believe that I've been put here to share what I know for men. But men aren't listening. They're not, men aren't listening. They don't, I don't know what it is. I do know what it is. I do have a feeling about what it is, which is men are struggling today. We know that through the 2023 survey that was done. And, men just aren't willing to be broken up. They don't. I'm reluctant to use the word vulnerability and emotional because I just think that that's terminology that men despise. And what I'm getting at is I'm looking forward to seeing my stepfather. I don't know what to expect, but I'm taking Butchie with me and we're going to figure it out. I don't know if my short-term disability is going to be extended another month and where my next paycheck is going to be coming in and what's going to happen if it doesn't, right? I don't know if I need to file for unemployment. There's a lot of things that are up in the air. And I could solve them by going at a job I hate, but I just, I can't do it. I want to do this. I don't fucking have all the answers. I may have some idea of how experience works and whatnot. Over the course of the last almost 31 years, have been trying to live a 1 + 1 = 2 life, which means learn how to grow closer to a higher power. Be honest in everything that you do, even if you don't like it. And, do your best. And try to inspire other people to love those things. And I really love that mentality, that simple mentality. And I think the problem or the challenge with having it be so simple is that there are so many variables that could go wrong if I'm not letting it go. You know what I mean? Like I just gotta let it go. I gotta turn it over. And I still struggle with that. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I know what I'm supposed to do today. I want my stepfather to know that I love him and that I wouldn't be the man that I am today without knowing him. He made me a better man. I got to make up for some lost time and let him know that if he doesn't want to make a decision to go to foster care or to assisted living, that I'm open to the idea of having him come here and live with me. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it would look like. I just don't know anything. So, at the end of the day, not knowing is a complicated place. If I make it that way. If I don't try to let it go, if I obsess about all the things that I know that can go wrong or could go wrong, it's like, it's just like one of those things where you're like, I feel like how I think an actor would feel. When an actor or a writer or someone in the arts, a musician, says that this is what I'm going to do for a living at an early age, and they make that decision, and so they go to California, they go on auditions, right? They live at their friend's house, they eat rice and peanut butter and jelly, they go on more auditions, maybe they get a break, maybe they don't get a break. I don't know. I mean, there's so many, incredible stories of actors, coming out the other side, but the majority of them don't, right? But I think this is what they feel like when you don't have an audience, when you know that people aren't interested in what you're talking about, and you're talking about a way that will help men work through difficult personal experiences, and they don't want to do it. But you got to keep on doing it. I got to keep doing it. I got to keep doing it. You know what I mean? And I don't know what that means today or tomorrow. It may mean that I need to get a part-time job working at Walmart. I don't know. But this is the goal. And it's part of my 1 + 1 = 2. Like, I just need to make sure that I'm getting out good content that is honest, that is thought-provoking, and more importantly, share that even though I'm trying to do it on a daily basis, there's days I don't like it at all. And I'm not going to try to pretend that I'm perfect, because I'm not. My life is, can be very quickly out of control. It could be more out of control than it is now, because I could always be drinking, and that'll basically kill me. That I know to be true. So it's harder, it's just more complicated to work through those challenges. And I don't know if I'm making any sense. And we'll see what happens. I'm going to post this and edit it tonight. So I can tell you today, a well-lived life is a life of someone who can generate the kind of love that inspires other people to be more loving. And I know that I've done that. I've done that. And I know that. Like that's a good thing to know. And I know I can do more of that. And I want to do more of that. So that's where we're going. I can't make anyone, nor do I can't make anybody do anything that they don't want to do. And the part of this process that's hard is just letting time take time. It's going to take time. And I would prefer to have answers to all of my questions that I don't know about. Like, you're going to keep doing this? What's going to happen? You'll make some money, but you won't be a millionaire. Or, like all those things. You're not going to be able to retire at the age you want to. You won't be able to live off Social Security. I told my son said the other day, he's been really worried about my job. And he sees how much I hate it. And he said to me the other day, he goes, when I grow up, if you need a place to come live with me when you're older, I'll do that. And I could have been like, all right. It could have been like that. But you know what I did instead? I said, listen, I hear you loud and clear, but it's not your job to take care of me. It really isn't. Right? It's just not. And I don't want you to feel like there's a burden on you to do that because you don't have to. Right? It's easy to say, it's hard to do. But I gave him 2 other examples of how I've been in situations like this before for long periods of time, through COVID, through a financial crisis, where I've lost my job and I've had to figure out other ways to make income to support my family. And I did. And I reminded him that I've done it before and that I just need to do it again. And that he doesn't need to worry because I've showed him twice that I can do it. What's different is now I don't have a lot of time. I have time. It's just scary, that's all. It is what it is. Anyway, that's all I got. And I'll catch you on the next one.